Cheers.
Thanks for coming over. That's like huge, though. You know, for the fact that we finally have you on this podcast.
I know it's been a long time coming.
Pretty sure we asked you like 3 months ago, 4 months ago.
It's been a while, yeah. I'm not gonna lie. But should we just let's bang it out, dude?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back
Hey.
to the greatest podcast ever invented. This is the greatest podcast we've ever invented. And
It's the only podcast we ever invented.
It's the only podcast you listen to. My name's Harrison. I'm your host for tonight.
My name's Alex. I'm your co-host.
And welcome to Did You Eat Yet? And I'm curious, guys, did you guys eat yet? No, we're hungry.
No, we didn't eat
We're
yet.
very hungry. But we are, drinking a little bit tonight. We got our claws. No laws with the claws.
Laws with the claws.
And then we have, I have a little bit of whiskey on deck as well. And today, guys, I'm so excited, man, for this
special guest.
episode for our very special guest.
Yes.
We got our boy.
Switch over to that later.
I got you. We got our special guest, DK Dapper, everyone. Hey, what's going on, bro? What's going on? How you been, man?
It's been an interesting year.
Absolutely.
Yeah, tell me about it.
So 2020, I mean, everyone knows about it already. But for me personally, it was a lot of time off, going remote, getting furloughed, and then moving to like remote part-time work. And then from there, kind of like bracing myself to come back into the city, then going back in and assimilating to city life through COVID, going back into the field full time. And then just recently, I just started moving on to looking at school for data science.
Oh, wow.
But,
huge.
Yeah, but the best part of this year was probably the amount of golf I played this summer.
There we go.
Oh,
there we
So
go.
it's not all bad, you know?
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I mean, what did you do before COVID, like in terms of work, and what was your like profession?
So I'm in the hospitality industry, and officially my title is operations development manager. So I oversaw a lot of the field teams, making sure that we're rolling out everything, whatever incentive, whatever game plan and strategy that we came up with at corporate. Also, just making my main focus though was like project managing the new store opens or any type of remodels that we're doing.
Yeah.
And kind of like playing middleman between all the different corporate departments, the field team, to make sure everything opens on time.
Yeah,
sure.
but what kind of hospitality? What kind of if you had to go into specifics?
More specifically in the coffee industry,
Yeah.
cafe style. Yeah.
Cool.
Here's the thing, man. It's like, if there's anything about DK that I want to talk about, it's just this dude, low key. No, F that. High key, one of the hardest working dudes I've ever met. This guy works so much. I've never seen someone who's like, I don't know. You tell me. Is it an ambition thing? Is it a drive thing? Is it just like, oh, if you got something to do, you got to do it? Are you like kind of type A? Like, what is it that like gets you to that point? Because you work so much.
I do. It's definitely not the type A thing because I think I'm like, I define what type B is. Mm-hmm. It's really
Textbook.
more just about, I'm textbook type B. But for me, I think it's really the industry.
Hospitality
industry. You
Yeah.
roll your sleeves up. It's not like you're in a cubicle. You just kind of punch in at 9, leave at 5, like in an ops mindset. It's really like doing whatever it takes to get things done. You're working with your hands. You're like rolling up your sleeves. So I think that mentality kind of struck, and then you mix that with project management, and it's like whatever it takes to like meet the deadline. So I think it's really driven by that industry. I think if you talk to a lot of people, they aren't afraid to get their hands dirty and do whatever it takes to get it done. Like a lot of my colleagues, they're working 7 a.m. till midnight sometimes.
Jeez.
Like because you're in the field, but you're also like doing like other work, like administrative work that you can get to because you're in the field during the day.
Sure.
And everyone kind of just does whatever they can to make the the dream work.
What would you say like is your average number of hours per week that you were working?
It really depends on my week because sometimes we would have one opening, sometimes we'd have 2 openings. So it kind of depended on the amount of things that were going on throughout the project.
Yeah.
But I think on average, probably like 50 to 60 hours.
That's what I'm saying.
What do you
man.
think was the worst though?
Well, we are like a national brand. So working with the East Coast
Bi-coastal.
coffee,
Oh my gosh,
East
yeah.
Coast
He's traveling
coffee
all the
shops open
time.
at 6:30. And then the West Coast ones close at 4, which is 7 o'clock our time. So kind of
Jeez.
like
But
you're
you have to manage both East and West Coast essentially.
yeah,
Like,
you're on deck
yeah.
for anything and everything that could come. And also because we are a smaller startup mindset company,
Right.
it's kind of like you wear many different hats. So you don't get the resources that a big company would, where you can
Sure.
kind of pawn this off to this person or that
Yeah.
department.
I mean, like in bigger companies, they would have like a East team and a West team
Sure.
and like a Central team.
Different
but
departments.
it's just like startups. It's probably going to be a little bit more. Hey, can you be available from
Whenever.
6 to
All day.
whenever?
But that's
Yeah.
the thing. That's the thing about him, bro. Like I would text him any time of the hour, and I'd be like, "Yo, what you doing?" He's like, "Yo, I'm at the office.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm at the store.
Yeah.
I'm always working." Like
Yeah.
this guy, I text him any time of day he's working.
Yeah.
And so for me, it's just like, now I'm realizing it's a kind of like the nature of the industry. It's like if you don't do it, it's just never gonna get done. And then like operationally, everything is just like comes crashing down. Like that's what it kind of seems.
It's like
no?
that own your business mindset. So as an operator in operations,
Yeah.
you own your business.
Right,
And
right.
when your business spans multiple regions across the country, you have that much more responsibility.
Do you feel like doing all that kind of helps you or sets you up for maybe starting your own thing one day, or is it kind of not like one-to-one like transfer?
Man, I want him to start something, man.
Yeah.
I've been talking.
we
about
always
that
talk
with him.
about that because DK always has like a lot of different interests as well. Like,
But he's also like he has a
clothes
skill set. He's got the
Yeah.
ambition. You know what I mean? I feel like it's tough now, obviously, but like I've always wanted him to do his own thing.
And we've had plenty of conversations around that.
Yeah.
And thankfully, like with my work experience, I was able to touch a lot of different departments. So going into a site when it's in the construction phase, to sourcing all the different types of inventories, working with the vendors, hiring a team, training the team, executing, marketing team around the new opening, and like the social media aspect of that, which is so important right now.
Yeah.
Just like setting up vendor finances with our finance team. Like, I mean, I think it's spanned across so many different departments that I got a nice insight into what each department does, which I think it's very valuable experience because no one really gets to witness from start to finish of how the store gets there. You see so many businesses going up. And it's the sad part when you see, because of COVID, all the businesses shutting down,
Yeah.
the amount of hours that people had to put just to get that store opened, and to
course.
see so many shut across the country.
Yeah, that makes sense.
What do you
Yeah.
think like the main difference is from companies, especially like in the New York market?
Yeah.
These brick and mortar restaurants, cafes that make it and they don't make it. What's the difference? That you would
You
probably
mean with COVID or just in general?
just in general. Like,
Yeah.
I'm curious more about the New York market. Like, what in your mind is it like catering to the millennials and being very tech focused and like easy contactless pickup and like app ordering, that kind of stuff, or is it just like quality? Is it product, location? Like, what would you say the most important thing is?
I wouldn't be able to say it's one specific thing. I think it is a bevy of different explanations of like why companies are successful. I mean, location is a big one, and then it's like when you go into a location, like catering your brand and catering your marketing around it. So like if you're going into a more like Upper West, Upper East neighborhood style, like I would really say that like your customer service and your personality and your outreach will be more important versus people I'd say in Midtown or FiDi, which I mean, they would appreciate like the hospitality, of course, but for them, it's more about speed. Like they would, excuse me, they would focus
Nice.
more on about that.
He's hungry, man. Leave him alone.
Did I eat yet? So yeah, they would focus more on the speed aspect because what's important for them is getting their coffee faster because they need to go back into work.
Yeah.
They don't really care too much for all the chit chat that you might get in a more of a neighborhood feel.
Yeah.
So I mean, and then like, yeah, I think COVID really did highlight how tech is so important. So moving to contactless ordering and like pre-ordering and like even just like
delivery, all
delivery,
sorts of that.
yeah, like all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
tech is so important, and I've had to play a big part in the tech for our company as well. And
Right.
You know,
yeah, you really like notice it.
and like integrating tech with, I guess, hospitality in its own way. It's kind of like blending two, well, it feels like opposite sides
Sure.
together, and then
Yeah.
you get that like nice harmony for sure.
Yeah.
I always thought like with, at least with coffee or just any, I guess any general like brand, startup or whatever, I think for me, I think the importance is like the brand and the story, because I always hear.
Oh, you're into that kind of stuff, man?
I'm not saying that I'm into it, but I just, for example, when I like, there are like coffee companies like Starbucks, right? But everyone
Yeah.
knows what Starbucks is.
Sure.
But there's also like Blue Bottle, right?
Sure.
But Blue Bottle, I don't really know too much about it, but I've heard through other people that like Blue Bottle has like a background. There's like a story about the CEO or the owner like not being happy with the quality of coffee, so he went out and did some whatever like vision quest or whatever
Sure.
to learn about coffee in a better way. But the fact that you mix that, if you have like a story with your brand, I think it really does kind of have like an impact to
Interesting.
like your customers. And then I noticed a lot of times, at least in New York City, that the decor of the coffee shop is kind of important as well. Like some places just look like Apple stores,
Right.
And then they do
crazy.
that intentionally, right?
Yeah.
Because it's like
Right.
a sense of minimalism, and people are just there to get coffee and get out, right?
Feels good when you go
Like,
in, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I think there are a mix of things, right? Like location, branding, story, all of those things combined. And then but the reality is you're just getting coffee.
Yeah.
But people still go. And
That's the thing.
yeah.
That's the thing. That's how they get you, right? Because I'm in obviously branding, so like I'm always thinking about what kind of brand image, brand story like a company's trying to tell. So
Right.
I think generally speaking, though, I find it funny that people enjoy that kind of stuff and they're compelled to buy, or like like if you're like choosing between three coffee vendors, that you'd pick one because because the backstory resonated with you. I think that's just like so funny.
Yeah,
It's
I
like,
mean, it's
who really
crazy.
cares what the backstory was,
Yeah, as long as you
Why
get
does
good
that matter?
coffee. But I mean, some places are very like mission driven. Like
Yeah.
any proceeds go or a certain percentage of the proceeds go to some.
We plant a tree out in the Amazon,
Yeah.
right? So, but that's the
Right.
thing, bro. I'm curious. For you, man, it's like it's not like you necessarily studied hospitality in college or anything like that. Like, I don't know if like that was necessarily kind of something you had sought out to do. I'm curious, like, what's your background like? Like, what did you study in college, and like, what made you kind of like end up in working for a coffee business, man?
So I'm probably one of the most indecisive people out there.
But he's a hard worker.
And I think it reflects in. But I'm not the type of person, I think, to get caught up in one single thing. I do like to have a multitude of different interests
Yeah.
and passions. But so I actually started undergrad as the only male jazz vocal performance major. So I went into music.
Wow.
And then I still distinctly remember the phone call that my dad and I shared, where he just said, listen, like, I get it. You're going after your jazz vocal degree. But what does it look like in 4 years?
Wow, your dad is so cool. The
That's
way
a tough
he is,
conversation.
bro.
Yeah, so supportive
Yeah.
in a roundabout way.
Yeah.
So yeah, I went in as that, and then after a year, I switched over to psych. Wasn't the biggest fan of psych, and then I switched it over to justice and just kept psych as a minor. So I was a justice major with law school in mind, with a psych minor and a jazz minor.
Yeah.
And from there, I remember my last senior year, I interned at Essex County at the public defender's office. And I actually was, because of my psych minor, I was put into like the mental health division. So I do remember working with a few people that semester that were actually like had mental issues. And then you also had the defendants who were pleading insanity and like would prefer to go into a mental institution rather than go and serve time in jail or prison. So I think working with the type of cases that I was able to see firsthand, I wasn't the biggest fan. I was like, I don't think I'm ready for this. And I guess like respect to lawyers, I don't know how, like, if a trial doesn't go their way, how, like, it's an emotional burden, I think, for them. And I don't think I was ready for that, especially seeing the people that needed the extra care, because they were, most of them were, like, genuinely, like, mentally disabled or had other mental issues. After graduating, I thought I would have wanted to go to law school, but then I put that on pause, and I was working for a luxury menswear brand at the time, and then moved over to home furnishings for a luxury brand as well.
And that's also how you got the name, right?
Yeah. I used to wear suits every day, so that's where the nickname came from.
Wow. You must have looked good in them suits.
Yeah, dapper, no rapper.
Hey, there we go, man. And then how did that transition out?
So I actually got a lot of experience, like, I think, dealing with clients. So I was doing that for a while, and I had strayed off course from what I had initially intended so far that I wanted to take a year off. And
what was the time frame on that?
I've been working since high school, but, through undergrad and I think like 2 or 3 years outside as well. So I've been working straight since I was 16. So I think I was around 25, 26 at the time, and I just wanted a break. Never really got to enjoy my youth as much as I thought I wanted to. So I stopped what I was doing. I was living in the Hamptons at the time, and I was like, listen, like, I want to move back, maybe New York, maybe Philly, maybe Boston, but, like, I want to kind of start all over. And at the time, my buddy, who's still my roommate now, so like about 4 years ago, he said, hey, listen, like, I have an extra room. Maybe you could stay with me at Hoboken. So I did. But I didn't want to eat too much into my savings. So I looked for a part-time gig around. And I was like, you know what? Like, maybe I could serve a couple days. So I was a part-time server for a while. I think for about 2-3 months. And then at the cafe, that's when they taught me how to be a barista, and then moved on to a head barista. And then my manager left, so I kind of assumed the manager role because I had managerial experience from my other jobs in the past.
Sure.
From there, I was like, okay, I guess I'm doing this. I'm going to move to the city. And then I got 2 locations in the city, then a third one out in Long Island. And then from there became like a multi-site manager into an ops manager. So it's kind of just these things. You just like work hard, and people were offering me more and more, and I just handled it, more opportunities.
That's crazy.
And then they were like, you know what, like, you are good at operations. Like, why don't you help us open up new stores? Because at the time we were trying to open up, I think, about 30 new sites in about a span of a year and a half. So it was kind of all hands on deck. And I think that's back to what you were talking about, the mentality. Like, when you do see a goal like that, like, you do whatever it takes to get there.
What was your goal, though? Like, I know you started from as like a barista, head barista. It looked like you were going up, but was there ever, like, did you see that, I don't want to say a finish line, but where you were saying, like, within this industry, I would be very happy at this point, kind of thing?
In hindsight, I think what was really the biggest driving factor was not the pay raise or not the title. It was that I wanted to get to a point where I knew everything to open up my own store. And it's kind of crazy because, like, 3 years later, like, I did attain most of the knowledge, except maybe some of the legal parts where, like, like, rent out a space, and you can, like, outsource that kind of stuff. But everything else, I think I did. I was able to learn it. I just never thought about it until just now. Like, I really did set out to do what I wanted to, like, 3 years ago. And so if anyone wants to open up their own shop, I think I could be a big help.
There we go.
Yeah, for sure.
There we go.
I think that's super valuable, just seeing something from, like, the very beginning. And I don't want to say it's like the lower position, but in the reality is you went from a barista to, like, basically managing, like, multi-sites,
bi-coastal across the nation.
That's crazy. I mean, it takes time, and it's not going to happen right away. But
I mean, like, Hazy, like, you, Alex, like, I feel like tried to hang out as much as we can. But I remember last year before COVID, like I think I was home maybe once a month.
Yeah, because you were
1 week a
traveling
month or
all the
something
time.
like
I
that.
remember. Yeah.
Seeing him was like a shooting star. You know what I mean? It was like
Yeah.
it was literally a once in a lifetime kind of like lightning, hitting during an earthquake kind of situation. It was a unicorn.
Yeah, and I bet
situation.
it like at that point in your position, it wasn't even about coffee. It was just more about data and just making sure everything just kind of operated properly, right?
Yeah, for me it was making sure that all the like logistically, like everything that we're sourcing from a multitude of different vendors, the training of the manager and the team, making sure that everything is in place to get us open and operational. Like that was always at the forefront. And then last summer, I started to get involved in the tech side of it as well, which is
point of sales,
point
that
of
kind
sale,
of stuff, right?
back ends, making sure that all the data is clean, to make sure that like our finance team and our like logistic, like our supply chain team are able to pull up the data accordingly, and our operations team as well. So at the same time that I was opening up stores, I was also taking care of a lot of the POS side of it as well and the data side. So it was,
You were doing a lot.
I was doing a lot.
Yeah, for sure.
And the thing about the POS is where that like you have to wait until the sites are all down so that you can make all these changes, because you don't want to make them in the middle of the day.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. Yeah.
So it was like doing all the things to open up the shops in the morning and then doing all the tech side at night. So
Yeah.
which is probably why.
That's crazy,
Yeah,
man.
sure.
But is it kind of that exposure to working with data, working with like point of sales and that kind of tech that inspired you to potentially just look into? I know you said early on that you're looking into coding academies, going back to school.
Yeah, exactly. So one of the parts that I really did enjoy was the reporting side of things and
Yeah.
the data side of it. And I wanted to do it at a more advanced level, like
Sure.
not just Excel or anything like that. So, and then I remember I was talking to Alex for a while because he's very successful in his industry. And he was like, listen, like, why don't you go ahead and try coding camp? And I remember he was like sending me websites here. And like during COVID, I really did take the time to like take some intro courses. And for me, I thought it was going to be a completely different start, which some people take, and
Yeah.
I accept that as well. But for me, I thought, how can I leverage all these years of experience that I have, so that it's not a full restart, but like, how do I kind of merge the two where I get a jump on things because of my ops background? And that's when I started to think about data science, because with my ops background, we've had people before like come in and like send us reports and things like that, but they did it from maybe just the strictly financial side where they don't understand, where on paper things make sense, but
Yeah.
if you're not an operator, you don't understand it. So with my ops background, I thought that if I learned data science, I would be a better middleman.
Yeah.
So that the reports make a little more sense to the operators, which at the end of the day, the operators are the ones making the money. Like you want to do everything to ensure their success.
Yeah. So what I'm curious about is, what do you want to do after you come out of a coding academy? You've learned data science, data analytics. Like, what do you want to do with all that information, the skill set that you'll build going to that academy?
Well, speaking from someone who hasn't gone through the academy yet, my expectation, I guess, my hope right now would be to find a role that is something in ops or sales where I can leverage my work experience along with my newly acquired knowledge. So in a field that's kind of around sales or hospitality or something like that. But who knows? Like, I mean, like people talk about machine learning and AI, and if I do want to pursue like higher degrees and a master's and PhD, like maybe I would want to go that route. But I think it's something where I just have to wait to like get into school to really find out what I like and what I don't like.
Yeah, I think you have a lot of options here for sure. And if it could be possible that you have all this knowledge about the hospitality industry, but then you get a nice paying job.
Yeah, you go somewhere
as
totally
a
else.
software data engineer, and you're
For
like,
sure.
oh, do I really want to pursue this ops thing? But I mean, I think the fact that you have options is always a good thing. Yeah, so either way, I don't think you're gonna go wrong direction at all. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. I'm curious, man. It's like, with kind of this whole kind of background in terms of like, working in hospitality, now you're going into data. It's like, and I know recently you had applied for a coding academy. So it's like, if there's anything that you could go back maybe 2 months and kind of like be like, hey, yo, DK, like watch out for these things, when you go applying to coding academies, like, what's something that you didn't expect while going through that process?
I think I could have better prepared myself for the application process
What's the process like?
You have to do a technical assessment, so you need to have an understanding of the theory behind it, like a lot of statistics and how you approach the problem, and then also the other half of it is like purely execution. So you want to have an understanding of the language to make sure that you're able to execute on the theory. So it's like a hand in hand. So I think if I played golf a little bit less, maybe I could have prepped myself a little better.
Yeah, but what's the backstory behind this? Like, were you able to not get in the first time, or was it kind of like you didn't feel as confident when you first applied? What was the reason?
Yeah, the latter part. I think it's just one of those things where after when you have an argument with someone and then like a week later you're like, oh, I should have said that. Like it's kind of those.
You're in the shower, you're like washing your hair, you're like, damn, I should have said that.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, you still got in. So at the end of the day, that's like the most important part. I think some people like these days with coding boot camps and not just data science, but everything in general, they're so strict about who they accept because those job placements are super important. And I don't know. You must have done something right to get in. So
well, I think also from the interview side, I really made it clear that like I am trying to do this full time, where like I will take a leave of absence from my work.
Right.
So I think from my point of view, like I think that's what like I portrayed myself really well, where I was saying like, and I will do it. Like I will take a leave of absence from work to pursue this, and I think they really appreciated my desire.
The level of investment that you're showing and you're willing to make in order to be a part of this.
Yeah, exactly.
Interesting. That's so crazy. Well, as we end this episode, man, I just want to ask you one last question, bro, and answer it in any way that you'd like. But I'm just curious. For you, what are you really looking forward to in 2021? I feel like this year was kind of a wash. We've all been through some crazy stuff just because it's like so out of context, so unusual. But I'm curious, man. Like, what are you really looking forward to in the coming year?
I mean, based on our conversation, I would really say with the career change, I would say that's probably one of the biggest ones where hopefully, fingers crossed, I come out with the necessary knowledge to be able to move to a different career and a better job for myself. And making sure, and I think also like 2020 really made you realize what was important, what is important. So I think another big thing for me is just making sure that I go into 2021 appreciating the important things that are truly important.
What is truly important, man?
Your loved ones. For me, like my girlfriend, my close friends, my family.
Shout out to Udem. What's up, yo?
So making sure that I have a good relationship with everyone in that circle, and also, what I said about work,
Yeah, for sure. But here's the thing, man. We're so excited for everything that's in store for you, man. I think real talk. Again, you're one of the hardest working guys that I know. Super smart, and so wherever life leads you, I feel like you're just gonna handle it head on and just slay.
Yeah, I'm super excited for you. I you have so many possibilities. I'm just kind of curious where you're gonna end up. But
because you're like the rare situation where you're both like a jack of all trades, but you're also kind of like a master of everything too.
Yeah, and I would say like rather than a specific skill that I'm really really good at, I do like to be more well rounded. But I gotta say like it does also have its shortcomings, where people are looking for like masters of a single trade rather than someone who can kind of do everything.
Right.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Yeah.
Right. Well, here's the thing, man. If you guys out there listening are interested in coding academies or learning more about the whole process into getting into one of those schools, hit our boy DK up. You want to throw out some handles, bro?
DK Dapper. That's all it is. Just DK Dapper.
Instagram.
Yeah, hit him up on Instagram, LinkedIn, wherever you want to find him. But we just want to thank you so much for being on our episode today, man. Coming in,
Much appreciated, friend.
It's my pleasure.
honestly, the sexiest guy that I know.
Oh,
All right. Well, for everyone else, guys, we thank you so much for taking the time out to listen to our podcast today. We're out which we try to create episodes every single week. So, hopefully next week we'll have a great episode as well. So make sure you stay tuned on our YouTube channel. That's Did You Eat Yet podcast, as well as on Spotify, Apple Music, wherever you want to find us. We're basically everywhere. On top of that, follow us on Instagram. That's where you find all the updates. That's at Did You Eat podcast. And until next week, we just want to say thank you guys.
Yeah, thank you guys. Bye.
thank you.
See you guys.